And I was like, what? He could start then? Like, I already just did all this registration. I even had him start at this other school because, hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today in this video, I'm going to finish this video that I started several months ago, and it was about Evan, my baby boy, starting his first day of school. It was a crazy whirlwind of things happening, and I kind of just wanted to talk about it just for memory's sake, and in case you're interested, then just keep watching and listen to the story. And if you are not already subscribed, please subscribe. It would mean the world, and let's get into it. So I decided to start my baby boy, who was not even 1 year old, who was not even 1 year old. He was about 10 months old-ish. And I had been applying to jobs, and I had all of a sudden gotten 2 offers. I had a hard time deciding which one I should take. I finally decided one, and it was going to start right away within about a week. So I had a week's time to get everything settled. Now I was interviewing, so I was kind of preparing, hey, in case I get this or this other job, like one of these jobs, then I could be potentially starting soon, because they wanted someone to start right away. So a couple weeks prior to accepting an offer, I was asking the school that my daughter goes to, because I wanted them to be in the same school, if they had openings. And I asked several times, because sometimes when you ask people who work in the same place, different people, you could potentially get a different answer. And I kept getting the same answer, which was they wouldn't have an opening for him until like a couple months later. And it was, I don't know, like, so what happened was I was interviewing for a job earlier, like end of last year, and again, I tried to prepare and try to be positive and optimistic, which is not in my character, that I would potentially get a job, and they also wanted to start really early. So I put in a registration end of last year, which was like 4 to 5 months prior. So I was on the wait list, and I was on the wait list, but it wasn't really a wait list because I could have gotten in right away end of last year. But I said, oh, I'm not ready yet, just keep me on a wait list. So I guess I was on the wait list, but I didn't know how the wait list would work, because I had put in my registration at the end of the year, and I was hoping that I would, when I was ready, I would be kind of like bumped in the line, kind of like, like when you're in the supermarket and you forgot something, and you're like, oh, I forgot something, can you hold my place? And then you go run and get it, and then you come back to your place. That's kind of what I was hoping. Now so because they said that they didn't have an opening right away, not for another couple of months, I had to look around and call a bunch of places in the area and see if any of them had openings. And when your kid is under 1 year old, it's just like that much harder. Like, the younger your child is, the harder it is to find an opening right away in a daycare. But I did end up finding one, thank goodness. And so I hurried up and got all registered with that, and they had like all these fees. They had like supply fee, probably a registration fee, an annual fee, and all these fees. So I had to drop a lot of money. And also they had like this weird policy of like, even if you started in the middle of a pay period, you still had to pay for the whole pay period. So that being said, I needed him to start in the middle of a pay period. So I had him start before I was even starting my job, kind of taking it as like, I would let him kind of get used to it. I would kind of get used to the routine of dropping him off and then dropping the sister off and things like that. I had been in communication at the school with my daughter where I wanted him to go. I had asked this other person through email, and she was the one who actually does registration for the school, and she was on maternity leave, and I didn't realize that she was back from maternity leave, but she was working from home. She was like kind of transitioning back, but she was working from home. And I emailed her and I was like, hey, I was wondering when he would be able to start. And she was like, oh, she's like, when do you need? I was like ideally next week. And she's like, oh, he could start then. And I was like, what? He could start then? Like, I already just did all this registration. I even had him start at this other school because I was paying for it anyway. And here I get this response like, oh, he can start when I need him to start in the school that I want him to go to. So, I mean, it was great news. It was great news, but I had just dropped all this money at this other school, all of those fees and stuff. So then I had to quickly call, like, it was like a day and a half he was in that place. I was like, look, this place that I really wanted him to go to, or that I want him to go to because his sister goes to, has an opening. Can I pull him out right away? Can you just charge me for these 2 days that he's been in there? Can I get my registration fee back and supplies fee and all this other stuff, annual fee, whatever it is? And then they had to go through accounting, and they were willing to reimburse me for the days that he wasn't there, but they were not willing to reimburse me for the registration fee. So it was a blessing. It was a blessing that he was able to, when I had to start work, start at the school that I wanted him to start at. So what I did was I asked the owner of the school that I wanted him to start at if, you know, I explained to this whole situation to her, and I asked if it would be possible if they would be able to reimburse me because of this miscommunication. Because had I originally communicated with the person who is responsible for registration, had she not been on maternity leave or had actually been in the school while transitioning back, the one who actually had accurate information, then I wouldn't have incurred the cost. And she was just so angelic. She was like, yes, totally. It's crazy that they did all of that, of course, definitely. And so that was a very big relief. And that was, so I was just like very thankful for her, and also the other school in reimbursing me what they could. So that was like that was the experience of him starting school. He is my third baby, and he is the kid that I put into school at the youngest. Like with my first baby, I put her in a part-time program when she was 1 year old because I thought she needed the socialization. I thought the socialization would be good for her, and it was just part-time. My second baby, I didn't put her in until she was 2 years old, and we had people come to the house and watch her during the day. And then with this third baby, he was like not even 1 year old, which is like heartbreaking, to be honest. Like I just wish I kind of wish you didn't have to go back until after 1 year, because the whole 1 year period, I mean, I was still breastfeeding, and it's just so many things going on in the first year of life. It's just, I just think it's really invaluable to be there. Anyway, so that is the story, and now I'm going to show I think there's two clips. I think there's two clips of me preparing for him to drop him off in the first daycare, which I didn't want him to go to, but like this intermediary daycare, and then also my reaction after I dropped him off at this first intermediary daycare. Anyway, I'm happy to report he's doing really well in his new school, and at drop off it's no problem. I just like plop him to the teacher and he doesn't cry. I can say goodbye to him and I don't have to like scurry off. I don't have to hide, and it's great. And I really love that school. And yeah, now him and his sister are in the same school, which is really easy for drop off, and it's just nice because his older sister can say, oh, I saw him today when I was in the cafeteria, and things like that. So that is my story. I'm going to insert the next two clips, and thanks for watching, and I will see you in my next video. Hi, Hi guys. I lost my voice, but I realize this is very last minute, but over here I have some food, breakfast. It's very complicated. I realize how complicated his feeding is. It's very specific, but anyway, today is Evan's first day of school, and I'm kind of like doing last minute packing, which is not the best, but my voice is completely lost. Not completely lost, but it sounds pretty terrible. This Starbucks bag is going to be his lunchbox, but he has pumped him some milk this morning. He has, for later, they have a refrigerator, so I don't need to bring a cooler. I've never sent a kid off this young. He's only like 10.5 months, so this is like all the food I'm bringing him. He's still on solids, and purees. He's still on purees, and he's not really eating solids yet. But this weekend his top tooth popped, so he has 2 bottom teeth and his top tooth popped. So now I need to write this note to say what everything is. I love you. I'm gonna miss you so much on your first day. Have a good day, okay? Take a nap. Oh, I hate this. Ah, look at what a cute guy you are. So baby's first day in daycare. I'm not crying, I guess. When I gave him to the teacher and the teacher put him in the high chair because he didn't have breakfast yet, he was fine in the teacher's arms, and then he was put in the high chair, and then I was talking to the teacher and stuff like that, and then he started crying. But there was like a lot of stuff I had to talk to the teacher about, and then by the time we were finished, he wasn't crying anymore. He was just like looking around, trying to take it all in, looking at the other kids and things like that. So he is the youngest of my kids that I put in daycare so early, I guess, or whatever. And I know that some people do it as early as 6 weeks, which is blows my mind. But because he is under 1, I think he is not necessarily as aware. And so in that sense, it almost kind of makes it easier, because one of the hardest parts is when they start crying and they're like, mommy, like whatever. So I think that's like the hardest part. And I think what's going to be even harder is that this daycare is actually just kind of like an interim daycare, because he's on wait list somewhere else. And I think maybe when he moves to this other daycare, then we'll start to have those problems. Whereas if he could have just got into this other daycare, then I think and not have any transition, then like when he turns like 1 year old, he wouldn't have to have that adjustment. I don't know. I mean, I guess, I don't know. So that is my day. It's like almost 10 o'clock already. So I'm glad I'm doing it this week, because I start a new role next week, and it's good to kind of like get all this like figuring things out in place. So that is the story of my third baby starting his first day of school, or his first day at 2 schools. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Please give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're not subscribed already. If you have any video requests, please leave it in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video.